What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Green Zone. I'm your host, Sean Redden. I'm going to give everybody 30 seconds or so to join in, but we're going to go ahead and get started once I let the time go down. Just going to give everybody a few minutes to join in. Not a few minutes, few seconds to join in. Um, I'm feeling really good about this week. Last week started off really good and then kind of went to shit in the afternoon slate. Ended up 4-4 total on my bets, but I actually really like the card this weekend, and hopefully it comes to fruition with money signs. All right, that being said, welcome into the Green Zone. I'm your host, Sean Redden. As always, you can join the conversation, submit any questions or comments you may have. Um, I feel like I figured out the issue with the comments. I have them right here in the top corner now, and I should be able to pull them up if you do comment. I know last week we had one, but I didn't see it until it was too late. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into these games. Thursday night football is the Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. The Vikings are a 2.5 point favorite with the over under at 47.5. Now, the biggest news in this one is Puka and Cup are back tonight, potentially for the Rams offense. Actually, just before I went live, I got the notification that Puka is active tonight. I think Cup is going to be a full go here as he's been practicing, and the Rams have been really cautious with him. I felt like he was ready to go last week, but they held him out an extra week. So I'm thinking we're going to see Cooper Cup in full tilt tonight. Puka, and now that he's active, I still think it's going to be in a limited capacity, maybe even just as a decoy or in run blocking scenarios. And Brian Flores has had this Vikings defense cooking all season, and this Rams offense has been really bad, especially by their standards. But to be fair, they've been a shell of themselves with all of their injuries. Now, all of that being said, I'm on the Rams plus 2.5 here, and I'm also going to sprinkle the money line as well with the Rams. This will be the healthiest his offense has been all season, and you can't really go based off their yearly numbers thus far. There are a couple of trends that also favor the Rams as well in this game. The Vikings have lost 9 straight road games against NFC West opponents, and the Vikings are coming off the Lions game. You might think, who cares who they played last week, but there may be some significance to that. Back when Clemson was a force in college football, there was a really profitable betting angle during that stretch as well. They played such a physical brand of football that the opponent was beat up and worn down going into the next week. Teams playing the following week after playing Clemson almost never covered the spread. I forget the exact percentage, but I can promise you it was a cash cow for me when Clemson was at the top of the college football podium. There has been that same trend with for the Lions opponents as well this season, especially this season, because they play such a physical brand of football under Dan Campbell as well. Teams that have played the following week coming off the Lions game are 0-4 this season, and almost all of them have been blown out the following, not only lost, not only not covered, but have been blown out. The Seahawks losing to the Giants by 9 is the closest game that anyone's had. It might not be a real thing, but it might be a real thing. And like I said, I've seen it before with Clemson back in the day. Just to give you some examples of how teams have fared after playing the Lions. In week 1, the Rams played the Lions. In week 2, the Rams lost to the Cardinals 41-10. In week 2, the Buccaneers played the Lions. And then in week 3, the Buccaneers lost to the Broncos 26-7. In week 3, the Cardinals played the Lions. And then in week 4, the Cardinals lost to the Commanders 42-14. And in week 4, the Seattle Seahawks played the Lions. And then in week 5, the Seahawks went on to lose to the Giants 29-20. And that's where the trend ends because the Lions had a bye week 5, obviously dominated the Dallas Cowboys week 6, but then the Cowboys had a bye last week, so there's no sample size to go off of because the trend doesn't work if the team has a bye. The team has to play the following week, and not only are they playing the following week, they're playing on a short week now, Thursday night. And I'm also going to additionally bet Tutu Atwell over 30.5 receiving yards. You can grab that on FanDuel as I did about a half hour ago. Like I said, I think Puka is going to be mainly a decoy in this game. Um, Not very involved in the passing game. I would be shocked if he's involved in the passing game. Tutu Atwell actually is top 5 in the NFL in routes one percentage. So I just think a few catches from Tutu Atwell, and he's going to clear this. He has Stafford's trust. Basically was their number one receiver without Cup and without Puka. And I think Tutu's number that's dropped significantly since Puka was activated or listed as activated, or at least the rumors of him being activated. The number crashed way earlier today before the news became official. I like Tutu Atwell over 30.5 receiving yards. I think he's still going to be the Rams' number 2 behind Cooper Kupp tonight. Next game up is the Cardinals at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a 3.5 point favorite with the over under at 46.5. Now, I typically like to fade quarterbacks who have had a long layoff, but I don't think there's more. I don't think there is more of an upgrade in the league than Tua being back versus the terrible group that the Dolphins have been trotting out there since he's been out. The Cardinals defense is terrible. They lost their best pass rusher last week, and they don't have anybody on the defense that can cover Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill, and they're also susceptible to the deep ball. And as we know, with Tua back there, the Dolphins are one of the best deep ball offenses in the league. I think this game, honestly, even though it is Tua's first game back, I think this game has serious blowout potential. I like the Dolphins here minus the 3.5. The Jets at the Patriots. The Jets are a 7 point favorite with the over under at 41.5. Now, look, this Patriots defense is really bad. I feel like it's every offense's get right spot, as we saw with the Jaguars last week, dismantling this Patriots defense. I think this is the ultimate get right spot for the Jets offense. The Jets defense also has been really disappointing, to say the least, with all the talent and hype that they had coming into this season. They dominated the Patriots in their first meeting, but that was with the Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Drake May is an obvious upgrade over Brissett. And I just think we see more points than the books are expecting here. Drake May has his Patriots offense scoring a little bit, and I think this is going to be an easy clear of the over 41.5. The Eagles at the Bengals. The Bengals are a 2.5 point favorite with the over under at 47.5. Now, I honestly think this game is priced pretty fairly. The side and the total look right to me. If you put a gun to my head and ask me that I have to make a bet in this game, I would probably lean the Eagles. They have the better overall defense. And with a game that's expected to be close, they should be able to remain in a favorable game script where they're able to pound the ball with Saquon Barkley and just ask Hurts to make a few plays and not turn it over. So no official play for me in this game, but I would lean the Eagles right now. The Packers at the Jaguars. The Packers are a 4.5 point favorite with the over under at 49.5. Look, the Jags play a ton of man coverage, which bodes well for this Packers passing game. The Packers' entire wide receiver core is very capable of beating man coverage often. And I stress it every week that the Packers want to be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. They love to throw the deep ball, and this Jags secondary has been really susceptible to the big play this season. So the Packers should be able to hit a couple big shots in this one. And I just don't see a real advantage for the Jaguars offense versus this Packers defense on the other side either. Yeah, the Jags got a nice win and scored a bunch of points versus a terrible Patriots team last week, but they're a dead team walking, and I believe they have a dead coach waiting to be fired in Doug Peterson. The Falcons at the Buccaneers. The Falcons, are a 2.5 point favorite with the over under at 45.5. Now, there are a lot of question marks for the Buccaneers offense in this one without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, obviously, but they still have the talent at receiver with Jalen McMillan, Cade Otton at tight end, and Sterling Shepard, who they signed a few weeks ago. He has legit chemistry with Baker Mayfield dating back to their days at Oklahoma. This Falcons pass rush is among the worst in the league. They are dead last in havoc, which means Baker Mayfield can use his legs more and make big plays when he has time to find guys, even though they're not the big name guys that we're used to seeing. The Bucs defense, I've been saying it, is overrated. They have a blitz rate of 44% and only a pressure rate of 24%, which is the seventh lowest in the NFL. That means their corners are playing a ton of one-on-one, and they just don't really have the talent to do that consistently. I think the market over-adjusted here due to the Bucs injuries, and I think this game is going to clear the total of 45.5. The Ravens at the Browns. The Ravens are an 8.5 point favorite with the over-under at 44.5. Look, the Browns are going to be rolling with Jameis Winston at quarterback this week, and even if he's just an average quarterback, that's still a big upgrade over what we saw out of Deshaun Watson this season. And this Ravens secondary gets torched through the air. They've given up the most explosive plays in the NFL. They've given up 34 catches over 20 yards, and now might be without their number one corner, Marlon Humphrey, in this one. And this Ravens offense has been an absolute force for sure. Lamar has been playing the best quarterback he's played since he came in the league, and he's been the best quarterback in the NFL versus zone coverage. That being said, the Browns play the lowest percentage of zone coverage in the entire NFL. He has seen much more man coverage this year, but he was 24th in EPA versus man coverage last season. I think 8.5 is kind of crazy in this game with the Browns starting Winston, getting Nick Chubb back, and the Browns offensive line It's also the healthiest it's been all season, which I also think is the most important thing for the Browns coming into this game. Browns at home catching over a touchdown, 8.5. I think it's too many points. I'm going to be on the Browns plus 8.5 in this game. The Colts at the Texans. The Texans are a 5.5 point favorite with the over under at 45.5. At this current number, I don't really have a play on this one. If we ever get the six to appear again, then I'm probably going to jump in on the Colts. This Colts defense is being undervalued right now, in my opinion. They were really bad in the beginning of the year. I talked about it, how bad they were, but that was really because of how many injuries they had. But they're healthy now, and this Texans offense has just continued to be underwhelming. I might even take a look at the Texans team total under here, but it's never the Texans for me. I'm hoping a six comes back for the Colts. And if not, on Sunday, I'm going to take a look at that Texans team total under. The Titans at the Lions. The Detroit is a 11.5 point favorite with the over under at 44.5. I'm not going to spend too much time on this game. I said it last week. It's never the Titans for me. That's a team just in disarray. Now traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. The Lions are a huge favorite in this one, and they obviously should be. But laying double digits in the NFL, no matter the opponent, is tough. I'm not sure I'm going to get to the window with the Lions on this one, laying the 11.5 as an official bet, but it's never the Titans, and I think it's going to end up being a pass for me altogether. The Saints at the Chargers. The Chargers are a 7.5 point favorite with the over under at 40.5. Chargers game, we're betting the under. Simple as that. It doesn't matter who they're playing. The under has been the best bet so far for every Chargers game. The offense has no explosiveness. They can't find the end zone, kicked a ton of field goals again on Monday night. Again, that was against a bad, really bad Cardinals defense. And the Saints offense is dealing with a ton of injuries on their own side. I just don't see a path where there's a ton of points in this game, if any at all. I think this game could end up being like a 13-10, 10-7 type of game. The Bills at the Seahawks. The Bills are a 3 point favorite with the over under at 47.5. Now, the biggest news in this one is DK Metcalf. I think is likely going to be out for this game. He's missed practice now multiple days. And that really hurts the Seattle downfield passing attack. The Bills defense also thrives against teams that want to throw the deep ball and hit explosive plays. But without DK, I would expect the Seahawks to want to hit the more intermediate routes with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett. And then obviously run it with Kenneth Walker as well. On defense, the Seahawks still are dealing with cluster injuries, and I just don't see a path that they're able to stop this Bills offense consistently, especially because the Bills offense now with Amari Cooper is going to be one of the more balanced attacks with James Cook, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, and then obviously Josh Allen able to do his thing both on the ground and through the air. And Amari Cooper should be a full go, knowing the entire playbook this week in week 2 with the Bills. I just don't see the Seahawks being able to keep up, especially if DK can't go. I'm going to lay the 3 with the Bills here versus Seattle. The Bears at the Commanders. The Chicago is a 2.5 point favorite with the over under at 43.5. Look, we're most likely going to end up getting robbed of the premier rookie matchup between Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams in this one, as Jaden Daniels is dealing with his rib injury. Now, they're saying he has a shot to play, but I don't think he's going to go in this one. I can't make a play in this game until we know for sure, but I'm almost certain I'm going to be on the Bears. I think I'm going to end up on the Bears, depending unless this line gets like crazy if Jaden Daniels is officially ruled out. But I think we're going to stick around this number. Um, Mariota at quarterback just isn't it. Throw out the performance versus a terrible Panthers defense last week. This is not the same defense that he'll be facing this week. Any big playability is completely gone with Mariota under center. And if Daniels does play, I would expect that he's not going to be 100%. And he probably won't run as much either because he doesn't want to take any big hits on his ribs, which are obviously still going to be injured. And that would really limit this Commanders offense. And we might end up being able to bet the Bears at a better number. So I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being the Bears for me, unless this number gets out of whack come Sunday. So yeah, it's Bears or nothing right now. Panthers at the Broncos. The Broncos are a 10.5 point favorite with the over under at 41.5. Bryce Young is back for the Panthers. That means they are back to not only being the worst defense, but now with the Browns being without Deshaun Watson, I think the Panthers take the claim as also the best, the worst, not the best, the worst offense in the NFL as well. Why the hell would I want to play this game with Bo Nix and his Broncos offense versus this terrible Panthers defense? There's no way in hell I'm ever betting the Panthers in any game, and there's no way in hell I'm laying double digits with the Broncos either. This game is a hard pass for me. Next up is the Chiefs at the Raiders. The Chiefs are a 9.5 point favorite with the over under at 41.5. At this current number, I don't really have much interest, to be honest with you. Kansas City is coming off a big win in their Super Bowl rematch with the 49ers last week, and they're still going to be trying to incorporate new pieces as they just traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Antonio Pierce is one of the more passive coaches in the league. He loves kicking field goals and he loves punting when he's supposed to. He's not aggressive. He doesn't go for it. Doesn't put his team in bad situations a lot of times. And if you're going to be betting a team to cover a big number, that is the type of coach you want to have. But on the flip side, the Raiders were passing around a Kermit the Frog doll during the preseason, making fun of Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes, when asked about it, said, "We'll handle it when we see them." Now, do you put any stock into that? I personally can't because I'm a numbers guy when it comes to betting and matchups and schemes. I can't just bet on press conference and clipboard material. Um, I just think there are too many games that I like more this week for me to get involved in this one. So it's a pass for me for now in the Chiefs Raiders. Next up is the Cowboys at the 49ers. The 49ers are a 4.5 point favorite with the over under at 45.5. There's just no way you can bet this game right now. I would love to have a play on this come game day because obviously it should be one of the more intriguing matchups of the weekend. But there's just so many questions regarding God's health in this one. I'm going to have to see come Sunday who's actually going to be available mainly for this 49ers receiving core. But yeah, so Sunday I will most likely have something in this game, but right now I can't honestly give out a confident bet. And then Monday Night Football is the Giants at the Steelers, and the Steelers are a 6.5 point favorite with the over under at 36.5. Look, I know how awful the Giants looked last week versus the Eagles, and Daniel Jones, as I said last week, struggles without Andrew Thomas at left tackle, and he will also be out again in this game. But this Steelers team laying a touchdown? Now, this is a completely different scenario than the Steelers have been in this year, where we usually see them as a dog or a really small favorite. The Giants have the best defensive tackle in the NFL in Dexter Lawrence. He can absolutely wreak havoc versus this weak Steelers interior O line. And I still don't believe Russell Wilson is as good as he looked last week. Jets defense is really in disarray right now. And I think they were kind of caught off guard with how Russell played last week. So I'm going to chalk that up as an anomaly. And he's going to have to show me that that wasn't an outlier. I mean, that was him really performing like that and not an outlier performance. And then the Giants receivers should be able to win versus this Steelers secondary. I think Dabble's a smart enough coach to want to get the ball out of Jones' hands quickly, scheme up some things, some quick hits for Malik Neighbors in particular. And this is just too many points. Scary, I know. Hold your nose, but I'm going to be taking the 6.5 points with the Giants here. I just can never lay almost a full touchdown with this Pittsburgh Steelers roster. If you want to know exactly what I'm betting on game day, um, unit sizes, best bets, parlays of the day for NFL and college football. Also with written analysis as well. You can subscribe to my Dub Club. Like I said, do NFL and college football. Links are all over my social media bios. On X, I'm S Red and Sports. On IG, I'm at Red Hot Locks. TikTok, kind of use it here and there, but that's also Red Hot Locks as well. But mainly Twitter and the Instagram is where you want to find me. S Red and Sports on X. I said Twitter on X, and then IG at Red Hot Locks, and then you can subscribe to the Dub Club for all my official plays. And that does it for this week's episode of the Green Zone. If you tuned in late, you can always watch it back on YouTube as well. My YouTube is also Red Hot Locks. You can find every episode there as well. As always, best of luck, bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you next week.